Now you can be in AI systems, but you have to do it correctly. And that is what makes me so angry, is that it's not the press release is not the problem. It's how it's thought of, how it's created, how it's formatted. That is the problem. If you do it in a specific format, in a specific manner, then you really have this opportunity to be visible in these places where your audiences are searching for you.
Right.
And that is what a press release should do.
Welcome to On Top of PR with Jason Mudd.
Hello and welcome to On Top of PR. I'm your host, Jason Mudd with Axia Public Relations. Today, I'm joined by my friend, Serena Ehrlich. Serena has been a past guest on Top of PR, and we'll certainly put a link to her previous episode in the episode notes today. But Serena is a seasoned communications and marketing leader with more than 25 years of experience in content creation and audience engagement. Currently serving as the director of go-to-market at Notified, Serena specializes in product marketing, sales enablement, and strategic communications across public relations and investor relations sectors. Her extensive background includes leadership roles at Business Wire and expertise in content amplification, making her a recognized authority in modern media strategy. Serena, welcome back to On Top of PR.
I am so happy to be here. Oh, and I brought my appropriate I Love IR coffee mug with me.
Nice. All right. Well, we're excited today to talk about rethinking press releases with the rise of generative AI. Certainly an interesting topic. And this came from a LinkedIn post that I saw where somebody posted about press releases not working anymore or something like that. And you were very quick to respond and say, hard disagree. And then your commentary was very interesting to me. So, I think that this will be a good topic for our audience to see. So somebody said, basically, the client says, we need a press release so we can get media coverage for this story. And he tries to kind of object is what he's saying in his narrative there, but saying that every PR pro has dealt with some form of this conversation where the client is insisting we need to write a press release in order to get us coverage. I know I've had that happen in the past and at different times where I just educate the client that some of the best media coverage we get actually does not come from a press release, but having a relationship and making a good pitch. But that doesn't mean press releases don't generate news coverage, right, Serena?
You are right. And it's very interesting because even right here, this idea of what a press release can do and what it should do, and then what it can do for companies literally today in May of 2025, it's the whole game has changed. I'm obsessed with where the opportunities are for PR pros. But what I have seen recently is that when we're trying to activate, if you think about what a PR pro's goal is in some way, shape, or form, that coverage has to impact corporate ROI. That coverage has to drive some sort of metric. And so what we're seeing with press releases and with media coverage is that in the media landscape today, coverage is really difficult to get. There are less publications than there were before. There are fewer influencers in spaces. But what's interesting and what's happened is buyers don't just look at trade publications. They don't just look at major media when they're looking for coverage or when they're making their research decisions. What they're looking for, what your buyers are looking, where they're at is they're in search engines. And actually where they're moving from is from search engines into AI. And this is a very unique space for communicators today. I think if you were in this industry in 2008, this is going to seem a little bit familiar. It's very similar to the rise of Google search. And what's happening is when somebody says a press release doesn't work, the very first thing I think of is, oh, you don't know what it's supposed to do. Because a press release itself is not going to, and rarely generates coverage automatically, right? Some releases do. It depends on the news. But if
it depends on the company also, right? Like if Google or Nike or Starbucks puts out a news release, people are probably going to cover it because they've got dedicated beat writers.
That's right. So so we think about this. If it's going to influence the stock market in a significant manner, if it's going to influence a geographic market or a sector in a specific manner, coverage is going to come. But a lot of us have news that we want to share, that we want our buyers to see. It's not, we want our industry to see it, but we may be getting drowned out from that coverage. We might not be able to secure that media coverage. So where else are the buyers going? Well, Gartner's got them moving way off of, right? They're going way out of search and they're going right into AI systems.
Mm-hmm.
AI systems are not necessarily based on traditional SEO. So if you're a brand new company and you're trying to build your brand, you've got a website and you're trying to do all the traditional SEO features to get a more and more visibility. In SEO terms, that can take a while. In AI terms, you could be in AI and be served as a response the same day you issue a press release. Now,
even though AI platforms are not always using data from the exact date.
That's a very good point. Some systems, their data is from 2008. There are quite a few platforms that is where they sit, but there's also a wide range of data platforms that go in real time.
Sorry, I think you said 2008, which would be nearly 20 years ago.
Yes. So 2008 was when search first got started, right? Well, actually, it was before that. I'll tell this quick little history story and why I feel so excited about what PR pros should be doing now. Is when Google search first came out in 2000, they, obviously before 2008, when they were rising and rising and rising, press releases were appearing at the top of search. They still do, by the way. Newswire delivered releases, trusted Newswire plus real news will get you to the top of search now. But what was happening back then is you could get higher, you could get more visibility in the top of search. And what that did was all of a sudden is it allowed small companies to have that same visibility and go into the same recommendations and be in the same systems as big companies.
Right. Okay.
And so what's happening right now is with AI is that your news, your press release delivered over a newswire suddenly has this capability, right? Now you can be in AI systems, but you have to do it correctly. And that is what makes me so angry is that it's not the press release is not the problem. It's how it's thought of, how it's created, how it's formatted. That is the problem. If you do it in a specific format, in a specific manner, then you really have this opportunity to be visible in these places where your audiences are searching for you.
Right.
And that is what a press release should do.
So Serena, what you're saying is that press releases, when done right, posted to a wire service, will help a company get into an answer engine optimization?
Yes.
AEO?
So yes. So what's very interesting. So let me put some parameters around so it just doesn't sound like people can go cuckoo. Don't go cuckoo. Because at the end of the day, it is about the quality of the news. So we're already starting to see people trying to issue fake releases or releases that are clearly written to impact AI. And they don't get that same visibility because they're not the quality news they need to be. But press releases over the major wire services all follow a set structure. And that's the structure that LLMs follow. And that's what they ingest. So sending it out, you're going to get in there. How you get kind of coded in there and how you get ranked in there, those are things like your headline. What your headline is. With Globe Newswire, we also even have two other services. So we have, when you upload your press release to us, you get a chance to do a free optimization. You can do a release summary. You can give us release tags for your press release. And all of that goes into the metadata of your press release. So when it crosses the wire, these bots, these LLM bots, they can take all of that information and they ingest it and they tie your news to it. So if your press release says, today, Jason and Serena did a podcast to talk about AI and press releases, and somebody went into search and said, who talks about AI in press releases, we could actually show up.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who talk on that topic, but owning that narrative is where you want to be. You want to be who shows up. You want to be in AI's response, because whoever's showing up there is showing up for your buyers. And if you don't have that narrative, your competitors do. So it's very interesting. But back to what I said, it's about the press release. It's not about, you know what I mean? Like, yes, you should use Globe Newswire because we do actually have these two added massive benefits. But the quality of the content, the way it's formatted, adding a photograph, these are all things that have to happen for you to actually be able to take advantage of this benefit.
Should we, I'm going to sandbag you, I'll put you on the spot right here, Serena. Should we work together to put a release on the wire about this episode and follow the best practices that you're prescribing? And then put a link to it to demonstrate to our audience? How do you feel about that?
I think we may have to. I mean, I have to get approval for that, but I will, along those lines, I will actually tell you a quick side story.
Sure.
Because we want to know, you always hear like, well, what kind of news should go out over a newswire? I'm going to tell you that if you want editorial coverage, if you're looking to activate media reporters, there's very specific things. But because you also get your press release into search engines, things like research reports, sending out press releases to support a blog or a content series does very well. We actually tested that ourselves on low performing blogs, and we increased visibility across the board on all the blogs just by using press releases. So to your point, two things. Yes, we should try that. And two, side note, content's doing very well. They get 6,000 to 7,000 views. And again, the tracking systems can only track 20%, but it's really amazing.
So this is very interesting. And as you've got me thinking here a little bit more, about it, let's kind of explain, I think, the two services that people tend to think of when they think of newswire, paid newswire services, right? I think the first one is, at least for me, my brain goes straight to this idea of, through content agreements, we're sending out our company news or our client's company news, and it's going to appear on a whole bunch of websites near instantly, with that piece of news. And the second thing I think people think of oftentimes when they think of a paid news release service is that it's also going to be sent directly to corresponding contacts that are interested in that topic or that beat or whatever the case might be. Let's kind of just clarify that those seem to be the top two perceptions, right? Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think you did a great job. I think you're exactly right. It's about hitting the reporters that are relevant to your news. So if you want your news to release to be picked up in Oklahoma, your headline, by the way, I should say Oklahoma, if you want it to be picked up by retail publications, you should mention that in your headline. The release still has to be aligned, but yes.
And optimized, yeah.
And optimized, but you pick the geographic region you want to reach. You pick the, you pick the industry trade publications. Those are the two big places, but the other places, again, are these search, social, and AI. And what that is those are on-demand places, right? So those are response engines, to your point. Those are answer engines. So not only are we pushing it out in real time to the right reporters, but then we're making it available immediately and long-term across all of these other platforms. So it's a really, like, this press release is the most visible document of an entire launch.
Yeah, for sure. So just going back a little bit to my point, just feel free to correct anything that I've said or I'm going to say, which is I tell people oftentimes that to think of the newswire posting to be a way kind of somewhat to circumvent the newsroom because you're still posting that content directly on dozens, if not more, of newsroom websites.
Yes. And I apologize. I get in my head and I'll answer all of the other questions I think you have. So very interesting. This is all about trust signals. So if your press release appears from your newsroom on the web, people see it and they know it's yours. But it actually ticks that box of, I know it comes from you, but it doesn't necessarily tick the box of this is trusted news. When they see our version surfaced, and I mean a Newswire version, it could be the Yahoo landing version, but when they see the Globe Newswire version, that has a trust signal because it's saying not only did Globe Newswire trust this, but Google's trusting it. Yahoo's trusting it. And what happens is those trust signals directly impact how users use it. So when you think about getting to the web and without the coverage, you're still activating these buyers and these interested parties on demand where they're from, and they see it as a trusted source. The other thing is nobody opens a press release unless they care. So when somebody goes to that press release and opens it, they're a brand fan. And then when they go through and they read it and they click that link to go back to your website, they're coming in as a highly qualified person. They're coming in educated. They're coming in. So the traffic that will come in from your press release is very high value because these people have all sorts of other things they could be doing all day long, right? So there's a lot of value in the way it appears, when it appears. And then when you have AI that will take a question and give the answer will include 4 or 5 different companies, and you're one of those companies, that's another trust signal that all of this just happened from being on the web, from using the wire service, I mean.
So what you're saying is that Yahoo and these other websites are basically lending trust to the organization through these trust signals, as you're describing them, because they're publishing the company's news release or press release onto their own website.
Yes.
And is that done, 90% or maybe even 100% without any human intervention? And then if they see a release they don't want to put on their website, they could just kill it? How does that work? I've never really understood that. That
all that screening comes on our end. We have an incredibly rigorous, actually, especially in the time of AI, we have a very rigorous onboarding. Like in order to actually become a member, we have to have a lot of requirements. We go back and look at what day was your website founded? Like we look deep to confirm that they're real. And then our team reviews the release. Now we don't review the content, but we know we have what we call a SOC 2. So it's a highly secure platform. You can't upload a press release to us. You can't email releases to us unless we know who you are. So everything is validated so that by the time the reporter receives it, we haven't guaranteed it because we don't own the world, but they know that it's through our wire and it's gone through our system, if you will.
And what was the notorious backstory behind that? Or maybe there's several backstories, but ultimately you had people who were posting fake news releases that impacted the stock market or stocks of a company, right? Can you kind of summarize what happens there?
This is this is back in the day. This is a company that's, the company was Internet Wire, and it was back in the day. So we're talking, I don't know, like 15 years, 20 years ago. And what happened is a public company, an editor or an existing employee set up a fake account for a publicly held company. Mm-hmm. The backstory you learn later was that this employee had lost money shorting stocks. Okay. And he wanted to short stock. Oh, wow. And so he issued the client for the public company at the time was called Emulex. So this guy set up a fake account, quit his job, drove to Las Vegas, went to the University of UNLV, used their computers, uploaded a fake press release that he, in his setting up of the account, had approved. The press release crossed the wire. Dow Jones, I think it was Dow Jones, it might have been Bloomberg, picked up the story and wrote on that story. The stock went from, I believe, 70 to 30. They shut the stock down trading. And obviously, Emulex, this all happened before the market opened because Emulex is a West Coast company. Okay. So they weren't in the office when the market opened, or they weren't really, everyone's around. If you're an IRO, you're online, but this was also quite a long time ago. And that was probably the most notorious situation where fake news impacted the stock price. People got sued by the time they opened the stock back up for sale because investors, the 15-minute rule was in existence then, where investors had access to buy and sell stock. They had access to information 15 minutes before the general public. So there was a lot of stock market work that happened, and it really changed the whole industry.
It did.
It made the rules that everybody gets the news at the same time. And that was a big change. But this bad Apple situation has not gone away.
Right. And that's why they're so careful about screening the releases that come in. And so, obviously that was kind of the first one. Have there been, we don't need to talk about all of them, but obviously for context, has this happened on a big level, 5 other times, 20 other times? What would you estimate based on your knowledge?
In all different ways it has happened. Yeah. And I'll tell you 2 quick stories. One is I had a friend, she doesn't work there anymore, but she worked for Cloudflare. And she called me one day and she's like, your company's website is one, and I was at Business Wire at the time, is one of, like, people are always trying to hack it. And they could see all the time. And that's why Globe Newswire notified, that's why we have a SOC 2, is that security system. It's a very big deal for us. We have a lot of news that's pre-market. So that's a big deal. And then we actually, and I'm sorry, I keep tapping my mic. We launched a program with Clear where you can actually verify through Clear that you've sent the press release out. And we're starting to see public companies verifying their release. And it verifies the sender. And it says publicly in the press release, this sender has been verified by Clear. Okay. Because they want, it's not that but all of this is protection for the future. Because one piece of bad news, the impact could be anything.
Right. Absolutely.
Look at what happened with KTLA. I mean, they had a curse word cross the wire, and they don't address it. I mean, not cross the wire, cross Twitter. And it's a huge amount of damage is happening right now around that they are, doesn't seem like they're really getting themselves out of. So long story short, verification, I think, is becoming the norm. And I think this Clear verified tool is going to start to pick up as the risks start to really become seen. And AI is where these risks are. Right. If it's as easy for you and me to issue a press release and have that impact AI, look at the opportunity. So this is where it's becoming a really big deal for companies to own that narrative and own their narrative. Not only can your competitor issue 6 more releases than you and take up the entire ownership of the space. I'm kind of making that up. That's not exactly how it works. But you know what I mean? These things are constantly happening because AI is relying on releases, just like Google used to do in 2008.
So what you're saying is that there are some AI tools that, consumers or business people have access to that have more real-time access or real-time data, real-time access to the internet than others that might have delays. So for example, I have paid accounts with certain AI tools that, because I have a paid account, I'm getting more recent access than maybe somebody else who's using a free account. And so these are able to pull, some of these tools are pulling the data in more real time, same day kind of thing, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And the best example of that, if you want to just go see, Perplexity is real time and you can just do a search, but Gemini. Look at the fact that Google, when now most people just go into Google and ask it questions. Right. And now AI is becoming
an answer engine.
Yeah. Right. And then look to the right of the answer engine. There's those links. And if you click further, you'll almost always, a lot of times, if you're questioning, like go and do this with one of your own press releases, you'll see, but you'll often see a link to the press release right there.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
And that also, remember, now that's that trust signal. Because it's not usually the press release on the client's website. It's usually a third-party validator.
This episode is brought to you by Audible. Enjoy 30 days free of Audible Premium Plus by going to ontopofpr.com/audible.
You're listening to On Top of PR with your host, Jason Mudd. Jason is a trusted advisor to some of America's most admired and fastest growing brands. He is the managing partner at Axia Public Relations, a PR agency that guides news, social, and web strategies for national companies. And now, back to the show.
So I know I wanted to talk about just real quick, and I think some of this is highlighted in your past appearance on our podcast, but 4 ways to make your press release stand out, right? And that is write a great headline, format your release with bullets, add a photo, and then use a Newswire and leverage their free search and optimization or AI optimization tools. So I think I'm kind of taking a little bit of your topic away from you, but just as we look at kind of those 4 things, do you want to walk us through those a little bit, or just any other highlights you want to share?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I'm going to mix it up a little bit and talk about formatting first, because that's the easiest. Okay, guys, people, you got to listen to me. You're writing terrible.
The queen is talking.
You're writing. I love you guys, but your press releases are terrible. That's a joke. Kind of. When you're writing a press release, you're creating it in a Word document. So I think for some people, that sticks in their head that they're sending out a Word document. We are not. The Newswire is not sending out a Word document. We're sending out an electronic news package. So when you're building the press release, because this is stuff you can do without your approval, format it. Walls of text. No. You've got to have paragraph headers. You've got to have bullet points, have bolds, have italics. These walls of text, there are so many press releases that just fail every day, and it's literally the format. It's the format. You have to stop thinking about it as a press release. And that I will get off my soapbox, but if you can remember that we're sending out an electronic news document, those walls of text look terrible on a cell phone. Mm-hmm. They look terrible on a screen. They look great in your Word document, I bet, but they don't translate out. And literally, because people read in an F pattern, this is my F, I guess, they're going to see your headline and they're going to look for something else. And if you don't have images here, if you don't have bullets here, you've lost them.
Yeah.
And if you go to your Newswire's website and just start opening releases, and you're going to see how many options. And by the way, format your release, you get better message permeation. So
sure.
So that's formatting.
So real quick, it's kind of like, in the 80s or 90s, you're laying out in, like you said, a word processing document versus preparing it for a multimedia document or a website, for example. You don't have, your website does not look like, and if it does, shame on you, right? A Word doc.
That's absolutely right. And I should give out a couple of experts in this. When you talk about trust signals, Scott Baradell kind of gave me a great education on that. And formatting, other than the results I see, the reason I noticed it was Ann Wiley. She did a great job. And you start to realize when you hear her talk, like, oh, wow, like that's ridiculous. Why wasn't I doing that? So the easiest way to think about it is think about it like you format a blog.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you have those elements.
Format a blog properly.
Yes, properly. But formatting is killing people.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering and you're blaming your Newswire because something's not working, or you're blaming the press release like people are doing, it's because this is format. So right off the bat, bullets and bolds, make it easy to read. Mm-hmm. The second thing is going backwards is up to the headline. So your press release headline is the search optimization of your press release. That is how people are going to find your news. So if you have a term that you want people to find your release on, and it's not in that headline, your release may not come up. So you really have to, Jefferson Graham told me years ago, so before he retired, that if you were going to pitch him, he was the USA Today tech reporter, you should spend 2 days on that pitch.
Yeah.
If you're going to write a headline for a press release, you should spend time on it. Because the headline, 2 things. One, you're not using the right words. Google Trends will help you with that. But the second thing is your headline is all about you. Headlines cannot be all about the company. They have to be about the impact of the news on the user. So it's not that we're going to create a podcast, or we're going to do a video. I'm taking us back, Jason, to our joint press release. It's not that you and I are doing a joint press release. It's that we're testing this so PR pros have that result.
Mm-hmm.
And if people stop thinking about themselves, because again, go to the wire services, start opening those releases, and you see how many releases have no result. If you only say company X does Y, then it doesn't answer a search. It doesn't answer a question, and you don't get included in AI. You have to put the why.
I'm just going to add in that HubSpot, in their inbound marketing training, they say very specifically that you should spend as much time, you should spend the same amount of time writing the headline as you did writing the rest of the release. Nobody does that.
No, I have like this.
I'm sorry, I should clarify. HubSpot was talking about blog posts and other content, not necessarily news releases, but the principle still applies.
Absolutely. So, and there's so many options today. I will say another little company plug is that a lot of people can't use AI to test headlines because the news is pre-market. So we actually have inside our secured wall, we have AI generation tools. So people can craft headlines or pitches that are highly customized to their news without any security risk. But the biggest thing that somebody can do is you write the press release, write that release, get it all done, print it out, because that's what we did back in the day. Pull down that press release and literally underline all the important facts and terms.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Google Trends, google.com/trends. Put in those words. Whichever of those words has the highest search results, use that. Procter & Gamble, their releases say children. If you go into Google search results, Google Trends, and you type in children versus kids, they're losing 75% traffic. Like, they could be so much more visible if they just use the word kids.
Right.
That's what our people have to do. They have to literally wordsmith that headline, but because what Google's going to tell you is anybody searching that term? Are you answering anybody's questions?
Right.
And if you're not, then again, that's a press release mistake, not a visibility mistake.
So Serena, unfortunately, we're starting to run out of time here. So if we're rethinking press releases with the rise of generative AI, what are some closing thoughts you think are important to share with our audience as we're wrapping up?
Okay, quite a few. So one, think about using press releases still have to be high quality content, and they still have to be very well written.
And audience focused, like you said earlier.
And audience focus. So there's a lot of technical tips on how to use AI, but if that's not blended with actual news, it's not going to help you. Secondly, call your newswire. Call us at Globe Newswire, because we actually have free AI activating SEO tools. Ask us for help. We have tons of marketing pieces on this. Third, write a better headline. Use that Google Trends. Children versus kids. Think about that. Are you using the right word? 4, format the release. These AI structures and these search structures, they're where your buyers are going. They look for bullet points. Structure is highly important to them. And to that end, the last thing is, well, 2 more things. One is you want to make sure you have a photo in your release. Name the photo file before you give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Then it will appear in search under that. Have your photo file name answer a question, and it will appear. It's very important. And lastly, in your boilerplate, expand your boilerplate. Expand it to include all of the industries that you cover and the various roles and responsibilities that you cover. Because if you do that, that will also help you appear in wider segments in the AI systems.
Okay, that's a great tip. All right, excellent. Serena, anything else?
No, I am super excited about this. Like, all day, every day. If anybody needs anything, we've got you covered, because this is not something we own. This is owned by AI. AI is surfacing these opportunities, and it may not last. So the opportunity is now, and it's kind of a great chance for PR pros to see what they can do and test it, and then take advantage of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. The best way for people to reach you is to connect with you through LinkedIn.
Yes, definitely LinkedIn or first name, last name at notified.com, serena.ehrlich. I'd love to hear from you. Like, I'm always around.
Okay, awesome. Well, Serena, we appreciate you sharing your insights and your smarts with our audience today.
Thank you. Jason, thank you so much. And I just really appreciate this. This is what I care about more than anything in the world right now, next to family.
Right.
So if there's anything, I just can't wait to learn more.
That sounds great. All right. Well, with that, this was another episode of On Top of PR. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll take a moment to share it with a friend or colleague who you think would benefit from this show. With that, thank you for your loyalty and tuning in to On Top of PR. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, please let me know. Otherwise, be well.
This has been On Top of PR with Jason Mudd, presented by ReviewMaxer. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and check out past shows at ontopofpr.com.